James Jenkins is with Riskwell, just outside of Dallas, Texas. He has his own agency. He started as a captive, but I'm going to let him tell you all that because he's a lot more entertaining than I am.
I don't know about that.
I think you are, except in golf. James is actually a member of Coverica, which is a master agency in Texas. So I think that he's going to have some insight of what it's like on a day-to-day level, day-to-day basis for a member and for somebody who runs their own agency. So without further ado, you guys get ready. I hope you went to the bathroom first because you're going to be in stitches the entire time. No pressure. No pressure.
Oh, it's me?
Yeah.
Okay. So at lunch earlier, I was sitting there talking to some folks and said, hey, what do you guys think we should talk about this afternoon? You know, I'm taking suggestions. They said, do not talk about the hard market. We are so sick of hearing about how to ride the hard market. I'm like, okay, note to self, don't talk about the hard market. I'm going to listen. How we doing, folks?
Wonderful.
Good. I'm James, glad to be here with you. It is an honor. Don't get it twisted. I may be from the big city of Dallas-Fort Worth. It's one big glob. It's about the size of the state of Connecticut, the fourth largest metro area. But don't think for 1 second that I am not able to understand and just get right on into how we do things here in Mississippi. You don't know this, but I'm born and raised in rural East Texas, and it drives my wife absolutely nuts when we go down there to visit family because I start talking a little slower. I start pronouncing my words a little bit differently. So I was like, how y'all doing?
Oh, yeah.
And we say things like, all y'all, which is plural, and y'all, which is singular. And people that aren't from the sticks don't know the difference between those two. So, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to get into our feelings. Fellas, feel free to get up and leave if you want to right now. My feelings will not be hurt. Lad has already paid me. You don't owe me anything. It's all good. So, we're going to talk about tactical empathy and EQ, the emotional quotient. Everybody's familiar with IQ. We're going to talk about EQ. Give you a little bit of roadmap of what we're going to do here today. I have prepared remarks somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 minutes, and then we're going to have table talk. I'm going to give you guys some open-ended discussion questions. We're going to talk amongst yourselves, and I'm going to mill around the room and awkwardly take pictures of you for my video, which I will publish on LinkedIn later. And then after that, we're going to finish up with somewhere around 20 or 30 minutes of Ask Me Anything. I'm going to pull a chair up, or I'll just stand at the lectern here since none of these chairs are tall enough for my, whatever this is, 6'6" of dead sexy, as my wife would say. No, she won't. She wouldn't say that, but I'll say it for her because she's not here. So she'll watch the video later and roll her eyes at this point. Okay, so the Ask Me Anything is going to be fun because literally, ask me anything, absolutely anything. Blake Jones can attest to that. He and I rode in a golf cart yesterday, and he did, in fact, ask me anything for about 4 hours. The one thing he did not ask me about is how to play golf because, as he could tell, I'm not very good. So, let's get into it, shall we? Going to play a little game to start off. Let's play a little game. These are some of the characters we all know and love from TV. I don't own the copyrights to any of these, so if you're watching this later and you're from Warner Brothers or pick a studio, please don't sue me. Mr. Walter White, Breaking Bad. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that's a real throwback from the 90s and early 2000s. Man, in high school I thought she was so fine. Goodness. Tommy Shelby. Yeah. Dr. House. Y'all might see the pattern. You might see where I'm going. Dr. Miranda Bailey from Grey's Anatomy. Ooh, so spicy, feisty she is. Kind of like Leanne. I could see you being that character. They could have cast you for that. Tony Soprano. And of course, Sheldon Cooper. So, question for you. What do all of these people have in common? Well, obviously, they're known for their empathy and high emotional intelligence, right? We don't want to be any of these people in our agencies. So before we get into that other stuff we're talking about, let's put the most important thing up first. This is my family, the most important people in the world. All of you are a close second, of course. But my wife Allison there on the left, and Charlie and Emmy. For those of you that I have talked about Emmy, which I talk about her all the time because, good Lord, she takes years off my life every single day. I'm surprised I'm not dead yet with the amount of stress that child puts me through. Don't let that smile fool you. Let me get my little laser clicker here. Don't let that smile fool you. She is a cold-blooded killer. Whew, man, I love everything about being a dad. It's amazing. So, what are the components of EQ, emotional intelligence? We're going to get into each one of these in a little bit more detail, but here's our overview. We're going to talk about self-awareness, and then self-regulation or self-discipline, social skills, motivation, and finally, empathy, tactical empathy. For those of you that are inclined to take notes, you don't have to take any notes. At the end of this little presentation, I'm going to put a QR code up there on the screen. It's just going to say, how did James do? It's going to ask you 5 questions and ask you to put a couple of sentences up there, what you liked, what you didn't like, give feedback for the organizers and for me, because if you guys don't like it, it doesn't matter what I say, it's irrelevant. Included in that little QR code is a copy of all of these slides. I give them to you freely as my gift and as my thank you for providing your candid feedback. Please don't feel the need to be nice. There's this thing called Mississippi nice, right? Everybody's friendly, everybody's polite. Don't do that. If I suck at something, tell me I suck and tell me how I suck. So, this is where we're going. We're going to get after it. What is self-awareness? It is, well, being aware of one's self, the components of who you are as an individual, the internal workings of how you are inside your head, and the external expressions of how you are. This room is really warm. Can we turn down the temperature a little bit? Anybody else with me?
I'm glad you said it.
Yeah. I'm wearing long sleeves and a jacket, and I'm not supposed to take my jacket off because public speaker school says don't do that, but dang it, I want to. And I think a lot of other people in here are wearing jackets too. So, what about self-awareness? You gotta know yourself. Know how you tick. Your observations. What do you see? What do you not see? What do you just gloss over because you're not paying attention? It's like when you arrive in your driveway and you're like, how did I get here? I was on autopilot for the last 10 minutes. Ooh, that's kind of scary. I don't know how I got home. Did I run someone over on the way home? Your observations, your fears. What scares you? And I'm not talking like clowns and spiders and stuff, because let's be honest, clowns really freak me out. I mean like real fears. Like, am I going to fail? Am I going to raise kids that are little hellions and get pregnant at 16 and get arrested for stupid things that make me look bad and make me feel like a failure? What are the things I'm afraid of? Knowing yourself and knowing your fears and being willing to talk about them. Irritations. What just bugs you? What are the things that make you go, I hate it when they do that? If you know these things, then we can start to do something about it. You'll see some analogs here with the practice of risk management. So what's the first step of the 5 parts of risk management? Identification, right? You can't do anything else until you identify what we're working with. Anger triggers. What makes you lose your cool? Not just in a personal context, but also a professional one. What is it in your office that makes you fly off the handle? When that renewal comes back from insert carrier name here, and it's 140% more than it was last year? Yeah. No, I love the movie, I can't think of it now, my kids watch it on repeat, where the emotions are like personified. Thank you, Inside Out. The little red dude who blows his top, I mean, we've all felt that, right? In this hard market. I know, sorry, I'm not allowed to talk about the hard market, but you know what I mean. We're all the little red guy with the flames coming out of our head. Y'all think you got it bad here? Just try being in DFW, where we had literally 3-inch hailstones fall last week. They punched holes in the tops of cars, folks. I'll take a hurricane once every 3 or 4 years rather than 5 hailstorms every year. I may have irritated you or angered you with what I just said. Maybe you should get in touch with your, feelings and self-awareness. Insecurities, negative thoughts. That stinking thinking, as my grandfather used to say. What is it that makes you go, I don't know if I have it. I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I have the right carrier appointments. Don't know if I have the right tech stack, right staff, right blank. Insert here. If we're aware of our insecurities, is that the last one? No, there we go. Now I'm really meddling, aren't I? Yeah, annoying, nervous habits and distracting tics. Like if I was sitting up here tapping my leg as I'm talking to you, a lot of you would find it distracting. Yeah, Leanne would literally come up here and take my hand and tie it down and be like, stop it right now. No, I would murder. Murder? We're jumping straight to murder. Not even like voicing complaint, just murder. That's how it goes? Whew. Wow. She's yours. She's not my ADFS. She's your ADFS. Whew. Okay. So now that you're aware, walk with me. What are we going to do about it? You become aware of something so that you can leverage it in the process of operating your company. And the beautiful thing is, when you become more aware of the things that we just put up on the screen, then you can moderate them and make sure that the things that you are afraid of, the things that irritate you, that anger you, the annoying things that you do that bother your team, bother your prospects, your channel partners, your clients, when you become more aware of those things, then you're more able to stop doing them, or at least adjust the expression of them intentionally in certain situations when you know that there may be consequences that you're not okay with. Next is social skills. We got to find human connection. This is more important than ever in a hard market because we're kind of in a situation where the captive agents have been all along, right? The captive agents have always had one flavor of ice cream to sell. And in many markets, for many client profiles, we are kind of in a similar situation where due to underwriting guidelines and appetites and moratoriums, we typically don't have many options. In a soft market, you may have 5, 10, 15 carriers that want to offer terms that have competitive pricing. In this market, you probably don't. You may have 2 or 3 if you're lucky. So finding that human connection becomes more important than ever when we're trying to compete in a hard market, because when everybody has relatively the same product and everybody has relatively the same pricing, finding that human connection becomes more important than ever. So a lot of us don't want to put the extra effort in because it doesn't directly drive revenue. But when you're finding a human connection, when you're talking to somebody at church or that association or your kid's sports team or a hobby that you enjoy. You know, Blake and I were having a conversation this morning. He was kind enough to offer to drive me from the Sheraton over here. I think it's just because he wanted some more time with me one-on-one. And it was a wonderful conversation. And it really is. I mean, have you seen him? He's so handsome. But one of the things that we were talking about was how in the world do we find the path forward and connect in meaningful ways? And the answer really is, what do you like? What are you into? Express that on social media, on LinkedIn. Record a video on YouTube. Tell people what you like. As we'll talk about here in just a little bit, you will naturally attract and naturally repel people. It's when you start being generic that the natural qualities that you have as a person become more subdued. And when you become more generic, you become more forgettable and replaceable. I would encourage you, each one of you, find what you like and find ways to express that in the practice of running your agency. Niching at this point, or niching for those in the big city to our east or to our west, but down here in Mississippi we say niche. We don't need none of this niche nonsense, it's niche. So, just to put that to bed, because there's 2 ways of saying it. It's like violin and a fiddle. It's the same dang instrument. You know how to tell the difference between a violin and a fiddle? What shoes are you wearing? Am I right? There you go. So, niche. And Blake was asking about, how we figure out the niches. And I'm going to get a question about this later, so I'm just going to save it for the Ask Me Anything. Somebody remember, ask me the question about niches, because I don't want to get taken off track here. I'm already running a little bit over my time. But finding human connection is easier when you are telling people who you are and what you do and what you like. Because Humans are herd animals. Am I right? We naturally congregate with people that we observe to be similar to ourselves. Whether that, pick the demographic: age, race, gender, sexual orientation, hobbies, number of kids, how old your kids are, what your kids are into. You can pick any demographic, any determining factor, and humans will naturally self-select into people that they deem to be similar. Why are we not playing into that more in our agencies? When you tell your market, this is who I am, this is what I'm good at, this is the kind of things that we do, this is how we operate, your client base, your prospects will naturally self-select. And yeah, some people are going to be less likely to pick you. Those people you probably don't want as a client anyway because you don't naturally jive with them. But it's when you are courageous enough to tell your marketplace, this is who I am. You connect naturally with them. You're asking the right questions at the right time, and you're understanding their account. You're not just asking the questions needed to fill out the insurance application, folks. Because there's two different kinds of questions. What's the name of your entity? What's your mailing address? How many employees do you have? What's your payroll? Bueller? Or, hey, tell me about your business. What are you guys into? I absolutely love the question, what are you guys into? That is the most open-ended question. They can take it literally anywhere they want. And whatever they say tells me about them as a person, because I don't care about their business until I figure them out as a person. What's your personality? Are you more extrovert or introvert? If I was to guess your Myers-Briggs classification or your Enneagram, what Enneagram do I think you are? Are you the challenger? Like me, I'm an Enneagram 8, wing 7, for those of you wondering. I'm an ISTJ. I am, in fact, an introvert, believe it or not. I know it's crazy. The public speaker is an introvert. Let me explain. Introvert versus extrovert is not anything to do with skill set. It's about how you get your energy, how you feel fulfilled and at rest. You give me a good glass of bourbon, a good book, and a nice comfortable chair, I am happy as a clam. After about 2 hours of this, I'm completely exhausted. No one talk to me. I'm done. I'm done talking to anyone for the rest of the day. I have about 2 hours. It's going to be the best damn 2 hours you've ever seen. But after about 2 hours, I'm done. Leave me alone. No one talk to me. It's like airport lounge type stuff. Do not speak. I am not in talking mood. It's like Little Miss chatty conversation. Zip it. Nope. No, not today. Sorry, talking time is over. When we have the right questions at the right time mentality, we are connecting in ways that other agents aren't connecting. Because when they get enough questions out of their mouth to fill out the application and hit send to their underwriter, they say, cool, we'll get it back to you in insert time frame here. Do you have any questions? Okay, bye. What kind of relationship is that, folks? It's completely transactional. You know what that makes you? Immediately replaceable. There's no connection. They don't even remember your name. 2 weeks later, they can't even remember the conversation that they had. Oh, you know that girl, what's her name? I don't remember. The insurance person. Wow. Literally everything we did means zero. Nothing. But you take that same amount of time and ask a few probing questions to understand them. One of my very favorite questions is, what do you want to accomplish in this call today? Why are you talking to me right now? Because nobody wakes up in the morning and thinks to themselves, man, I don't really have anything going on today. Hey, honey, you want to go shop our insurance? 0 people have ever said that in the history of humankind. No one does it because they feel like it. They do it because they think they need to for some reason. And when you uncover the need to, then you're already further in the door than their current agent probably is. There is this thing called non-complementary behavior. It's when we act in ways that are counter to the way that people expect us to act. It's like when you ask the person, what do you hate about your current insurance agent? They expect that question because you're in sales and you're trying to wedge them. If instead you say, hey, just out of curiosity, what do you love about your current agent? What makes them great? And then you can say something that's really self-aware, like, I'm not going to talk bad about them, because here's the thing, you picked them. At some point, you thought they were great. You may be thinking they're less great now, but when you start bashing the competition, aside from it being poor form and bad for business, what you're telling your insured is, I think you're an idiot. You picked a bad agent. And nobody wants to feel like they picked a bad agent. It's just bad for business. I love this phrase, relentless curiosity. We're going to talk more about this in just a little bit, a couple of slides from now. But if you don't have unending curiosity, you really need to develop it because it will serve you so very well, especially in a hard market. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Social skills, very tactical slide here. We're going to camp out for just a little bit. My team gets absolutely sick of me talking about AVR. AVR is an acronym. It stands for Acknowledge, Validate, Redirect. It's kind of like Feel, Felt, Found, but not nearly as trashy. AVR, Acknowledge, Validate, Redirect. Hey, you know what? That is a perfectly reasonable concern. I bet that's frustrating. We get a lot of calls like that. So here's the thing. This is why the thing is the way it is, and I know you don't like that. I really do. Here's what we've done with our clients to find a workaround here and make the situation suck a little bit less. And be real with them. Say things like, yeah, this stinks. You're stuck choosing between two bad options. This is not a time in the insurance market between good option and bad option. It's a time in the insurance market between, oh dear God, and ugh. Those are your choices half the time, right? I have an insured, and Blake was with me on the golf cart. I spent half my dang round emailing back and forth and talking to this person because you can appreciate my frustration here. They have a 37 power unit fleet. They're a property manager. And last October, one of their people ran a red light, T-boned someone, put them in the hospital, and then fled the scene. Found himself in jail. The claim's still open. Got a reserve of 150 grand, incurred loss is almost 200 grand, and it's an open claim. Guess what? State Auto said, do we have anybody in here from State Auto? No, I said, you're dang right you got non-renewed. And they're like, well, what are you going to do about it? I was like, we already started back in January. Do you want to see my list of declines? It's long and distinguished. And so I'm on the phone, and we finally get a quote back from Progressive. They're expiring with State Auto with 78 grand. It's about $3,500 per power unit, pretty much market rate. The quote back from Progressive, $191,000. And that's the only option I have. And it renews on April 1st. And she's like, damn it, James, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, hey, I get it. This is a crappy situation to be in. Whew. I am really sorry things happen this way. I know it wasn't you that ran that red light, and I didn't add because it's irrelevant to the story, but a week and a half ago, thank God, after loss runs have already been pulled, one of our other idiot employees backed into somebody in a parking lot, so now we have 2 open claims. But she has the nerve to say, damn it, James, ... I was like, okay, acknowledge, validate, redirect. And I did, and we're either going to sell a really expensive Progressive policy or she's going to kick rocks, and I don't really care which one it is. So, Columbo questions. Anybody remember Columbo? Yeah, love that dude. Whew. Anybody who's a fan of the show probably knows exactly where I'm going with this. What's the most famous question Columbo asked? What do you mean by that? You always start with, what do you mean by that? You're getting someone off of their closely held position. And you're not telling them, you're an idiot. You're getting them to reconsider it themselves. Because if they come to their own conclusion that, yes, I am in fact an idiot, you can say, but if you're the one saying it, they're going to immediately be defensive. So you start with question 1. What do you mean by that? And then question 2, how did you arrive at that conclusion? What data, what information did you assimilate that led you to feel the way that you feel right now? So question 1, what do you mean by that? Question 2, and remember, I'm giving you all these slides, but you know what I just remembered? I didn't write the questions down in the slides. I'm literally just telling you right now. So those of you that are transcribing, you are smarter than me. Sometimes I just have someone else do my slides. What you gonna do? So then the third question is, have you ever considered that maybe ... That's question number 3. And if you stack those 3 questions together, you can move just about anybody off of their position if they are in fact an idiot. And if they're not, well, then you have more conversation ahead of you, my friend. So, what's relentless curiosity? We really need to rethink objections. Because everything we do in the sales game is just testing hypotheses, right? You have an idea in your head of what this person wants to accomplish, what they're stuck on, what their primary motivation is, and you're just probing in your conversation, constantly testing hypotheses. You are curious what the right path forward is, curious what the right carrier is, curious where the pricing is going to land, curious how they're going to make their decision. Curious, 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 all day long. It will serve you very well. We need to have a scientific approach to the sales game. Because if you're constantly having this idea of gathering information so you can better understand the subject that you're studying, you're guaranteed to be more successful. Because when you have that human approach, when you think, and I'm leading into the next thing here, we're not talking about empathy yet, but when you put yourself in their shoes and go, if I was running that construction company, how would I feel? What would I be concerned about? What would I be angry about? What would I want my agent to do for me? What are the things that I would love my agent to do for me that I don't even know they can do? Those value-add services beyond just selling an insurance policy. Things like property condition assessments, return-to-work programs, loss control studies, having feasibility studies for captives. We could talk the rest of the afternoon with things that have nothing to do with selling an insurance policy that you can do to serve your client. And I promise you, they don't have any idea to even ask you for it. And if you bring it to them, whatever that thing is, they're likely to go, I've never had an agent talk to me about this. Huh. Wow. But you're never going to find that out unless you're a scientist, unless you're curious and asking questions. We're getting close to the end of my time here, so we're going to speed this up just a little bit. We need to search for motivation. I never understand people that get bent when a prospect says no, when the prospect picks somebody else. Because all they're doing is telling you, I don't align with you. The thing that I'm trying to fix and what you just said, they don't align. I don't think we're a good fit. It's like when you're a young person and you're talking to your significant other and they say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. It's like, why? Well, it's not you, it's me. And I'm like, you're damn right it's you. Get out of my face. We're searching for alignment. Because, as we said before, everyone's human, right? We are looking for other humans that want to do the same things that we do. I saw a meme a while back, and I've seen it a few times. It's like, friendship is just the weirdest thing. You're going along, living your life, and you bump into another human, you're like, I like that one. I'm going to spend a lot of time with them. And then you just become friends and do stuff together. And I'll tell you, when you're in the stage of life that I am, I just turned 40 a month ago, my kids are 7 and 4, I have this much time for anything, much less friends. I was like, hey, we should go grab coffees. I'm like, no. Sorry, no time. Okay. I do not want any more friends. I don't have time for the friends I already have. I don't want more friends that I won't see or talk to ever. Sorry, I have a business, I have 2 small kids. I don't want any more friends. When you're searching for alignment, instead of pitching and quote and hope, and just spray that machine gun, quote, 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 quote. Is that an effective strategy, folks? Because they're going to go, nah, this one's $5 cheaper from the red sign, or the blue sign, or the maroon sign, or the magenta sign. You guys have shelter in Mississippi? Ugh, shelter, barf. Ugh. We don't have shelter in Texas. Thank God. I thought farmers agents were bad. I didn't say I was going to be polite, folks. So when they're searching for alignment, you're getting a much deeper connection with your prospects. And you can ask them direct questions because you've earned the right to ask them direct questions. You get to look them in the eye and say that their baby's ugly. Hey, you know what? We got some problems here. There's operational controls that aren't being followed. You have a handbook and you're not following it. You are hiring drivers without running MVRs. You have people sitting on indemnity payouts and work comp that's driving your mod through the roof. You're buying properties that aren't very good. There's a term for them in the real estate market, but I am not really a big fan of using profanity in public speaking. Real estate investors might call it a beep box, but yeah, y'all get the idea. When they are doing things that need to be called out, you can call them out because you've earned the right. When you're just spray and pray, it's completely transactional. Yeah, the quote machine gun, yeah. That's a nice visual, right? I'm going to chop that one up and stick that one on the shorts on Instagram later. Quote, 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 quote. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to get the Al Pacino line from Scarface, say hello to my little friend. Yeah, and just like, that was like quotes flying out. You can imagine the motion graphics there. But we're uncovering stuff. We're discovering things about the prospect, about our existing clients, because, am I right, guys? In this environment, in this market cycle, you gotta win your existing clients as if they were a brand new client every single renewal, because the swarming gnats of other agents are just flittering around waiting for you to do something wrong so they can just swoop in and be like, hey, how's it going? I noticed you're with Andy. How's it going over there with Andy? Do you like him? Yeah. Oh, Andy's a good-looking dude. Andy takes great care of his clients. Sorry, you sat in the front. You had to know that was going to happen. Because every single renewal is a battle right now. Even the clients that like you. But man, isn't that a great thing? Because when you're on the attack, when you're a lion prowling, looking for something to take down, every single account is up for grabs. Be honest. Who's scared of the hard market right now? Who feels that you're in a defensive posture right now? Raise your hand. There's about 50 of you that are liars, and about 10 of you that told the truth. And the other 30 or 40 of you are actually cold-blooded killers, and you're like, hunter mentality, let's go. So when you think about the process of quoting, of prospecting, as simply searching for alignment, you're going to write people that you like and that they like you. You're going to not write people that you just don't align with because they smell funny or their sense of humor is awkward or you just don't like them from one human to another, and you choose to not do business with them. And they might choose to do business with you or not do business with you for exactly the same reasons. And when that happens, you say, cool, wasn't the right alignment, and you move on. And you don't get stuck and go, oh, why didn't they pick me? I'm going to complain to the whole office. Oh. You go, all right, next. When you have the mentality of, all right, next. Do we exit them? No. I don't want to work with them. They said no this year. Why in the world would I say yes next year? There's not alignment. Do you think there's going to be alignment next year? Maybe. If they come back, we'll talk to them again. Are we going to contact them and say, hey, we talked to you last year. We both agreed it wasn't a good fit, but do you want to talk again? No. It's like the person you go on a date with and decide it's not a good fit. You don't go and talk to that person again a year later. They weren't a good fit. They're still not a good fit. Move on. I don't understand X dates. If it's a win back, okay, cool. X dates, like basic plain old X dates, don't make a bit of sense to me. I'm going to be real with you. Disqualify the fundamentally misaligned. I just covered that one. I got ahead of my slides, so carry on. Empathy. What do you think of when you see this picture? Talk to me. Makes you go, oh. That relationship right there is us with our insureds. If they think of you as their coach, as their advocate, as their ally, as their person who knows things that they don't. You know why I sold my personal lines book? So many reasons, but one of the main ones is my commercial clients care a lot more. My commercial clients use me for advice a lot more. I never got calls from advice from my personal lines unless it was claims related. Hey, what do I do with this claims thing? But the conversations that I get to have in commercial is so much more like this. I get to be a coach for my commercial lines. They call me for stuff because I know things they don't. And fellow business owners understand the whole process a lot more. You know what they also do? They don't complain about stupid stuff. My rate went up $15. Why did my rate go up $15? I'm gonna need you to shop my rate. It went up $15. No. Why not? Because no. The whole market went up. A lot more than $15. It's a win. Congratulations. High five. Go away. Am I right? Am I, yeah. Am I right? Or am I right? Or am I right? As they say. But this kind of relationship is the definition of empathy, folks. When you can put yourself in the shoes of the other person and go, man, I get it. That's hard. Here's what we're going to do about it. When you can look them in the eye and have a human connection and go, I imagine you're probably feeling blank. It sounds like, it looks like, it feels like, to use Chris Voss, never split the difference terminology. This is powerful. Because here's the thing, folks. Traditional insurance training has completely and utterly and totally failed you. Overcoming objections, always be closing. Awful. Absolutely awful. You know why? Because it becomes a thing about power dynamics. It becomes a thing about who's going to win. You win when you convince the insured to do what you want them to do, when you bend them to your will. You win when they say, okay, fine, bind it. That's what traditional sales training says. You're going to overcome the objection. You know what that sets up? A winner and a loser. It's idiotic. You know what you do when you engage in tactical empathy and when you practice the stuff that we've been talking about? You get up from that side of the table. You walk around to the other side of the table. You sit down next to your insured. You pat them on the back and say, let's do this. Let that be a visual. If you're sitting there going through all of the ways that you're going to tell them that they're wrong and that they're objecting about things they shouldn't be objecting about, it goes back to alignment. They think the way they think because they think it. I started answering the question sometimes because I like it. Why do you wear that jacket? Are you gay? Why are you wearing pink pants? I kid you not. One of my friends asked me that question and was like, did you really ask me that question in 2024? Holy crap, man. I don't feel like I should answer that. Have you met my wife and my 2 children? No, but the way I answered the question was because I like them. I did it because I choose to. I don't have to answer anyone. The insured doesn't either. They did it because they wanted to. When you find people that want to do what you want them to do, you don't have to overcome objections. So, question and answer time. We have 2 jobs. And I'll give you a hint. It's not selling insurance. That one's off the table. Audience participation time. What are our 2 jobs?
Relationship management.
That's another way of saying what I'm about to say. You're definitely on the right track. Build trust. Solve problems. Relationship is definitely part of it. Relational trust is a big part of it. We have 2 jobs, and they're not selling insurance. Build trust, solve problems, And that's it. Everything else we do is falling under one of those two categories. If we do these two things well, I guarantee you everything else will be a lot easier. We can talk process, we can talk hiring, we can talk tech till the cows come home. If you don't do these two things, you're gonna fail or you're gonna sell for a lot less than you could have. Because let's be real, insurance agencies don't ever go bankrupt. We have renewals, we have recurring revenue. They just quietly, slowly fade away. And then they quietly sell for a multiple that's way less than they could have gotten, and they go do something else, hopefully they're better at than insurance. You never see an insurance agency go bankrupt, but you can see them flatline and then get a lot smaller and then just quietly fade away. The agencies that are doing this, and practicing empathy, that's it. Questions, we're going to spend probably 10 or 15 minutes or so at your table. And the answer, we're just going to answer together the question of what are tactical, intentional steps that I can do in the insured relations process, prospect and client both. What are tactical steps that I can do to get better at being more emotionally intelligent and empathetic in my office?